Hi everyone, today we will be interviewing about many different aspects of Venezuela. First, let's go to our language, pop culture, and folk culture expert, Anna, who is joining us today. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about the languages in Venezuela?
In Venezuela, the official language is Spanish. Although that is the dominant language, it is not the only language spoken in our country. If you refer to the infographic that we handed out, you will see where each of the indigenous languages are located, including the most popular, the Wayu and the Waro. Spanish was first introduced to Venezuela when colonizers from the Canary Islands came and brought their language. This not only affected the majority of the country now speaking Spanish, but also the dialect in which Spanish is spoken.
Interesting. Could you tell us a little bit about the culture and demographic transition model in Venezuela?
Yes, of course. On our handout infographic, we have a copy of Venezuela's DTM, which shows that our country is currently at a stage 3 on the demographic transition model. Pop culture in Venezuela currently includes aspects such as fast food restaurants, beauty pageants, sports like baseball and soccer, and many other factors. Although these pop culture influences have become a part of the day-to-day lives in Venezuela, the current government puts out propaganda against westernization and globalization. Instead, they want to stick to the roots of the country's indigenous folk culture lifestyles, which include more traditional music and dance, traditional foods, and local textiles that come from local folk culture groups like the Wayu, Waro, Piaro, and the Yanomami.
Next, let's talk to Maddie about women's roles in Venezuela. Maddie, can you tell us what it is like to be a woman in Venezuela?
Even though women live in a patriarchal society where machismo is present, women can do very well professionally and can establish a good life for themselves. Traditionally, women do the housework, but today many can find jobs depending on if they live in urban or rural areas. In fact, 40.26% of the workforce is female. Also, most women have access to basic education. As you can see on the infographic provided, the youth literacy rate is actually higher for females than males. The female youth literacy rate is 99.09 compared to the male's youth literacy rate, which is 98.44. Although women can play a major role in society, many are hurt by the country's economic struggles. Today in Venezuela, the government is having to reduce medical care for women and children because of their economic struggles. Legally, women are supposed to be equal to men, but they are not treated that way in society.
Now we will go on to learn more about religion in Venezuela. Riley, can you tell us more about that?
Yes. Now, as you can see on the infographic, the majority of the country is Roman Catholic. Roman Catholicism reached this area because it was colonized by Spain, a Catholic country. It is a major branch of Christianity that is run in a hierarchical way. The hearth is in Vatican City, where the Pope lives and leads from. This universalizing religion is practiced all over the world, and Catholicism is the most important branch in Latin America. The Cathedral of Santa Ana is one of the most important religious sites in the country. About 29% of the population is Protestant, with about 10% of that being evangelical. This branch of Christianity began in Europe in countries like Germany and Switzerland. It has spread to Venezuela through missionaries and people leaving the Catholic Church and joining branches that emphasize spiritual gifts. Protestant denominations are practiced all over the world. There's not one specific sacred site in Venezuela because Protestant covers many different groups. However, individual churches are still very important to worshipers. The other 1% of the population that is not Christian is made up of Jews and Muslims. There are more people that practice Islam than Judaism. These religions were spread to the region by relocation diffusion. Judaism originated in the Middle East, and the hearth of Islam is Mecca. Judaism is practiced around the world, but it is concentrated in the US and Israel. Islam is also practiced around the world, but is concentrated in Northern Africa, Southeast Asia, and Southwest Asia. Caracas, the capital of Venezuela, contains the second largest mosque in Latin America, which many Muslims in the country attend. This mosque is pictured on the infographic. There are no major synagogues in Venezuela.
And now to our ethnicity and race expert, Sarah. How do conflicts in history affect Venezuela today?
Venezuela has had very little conflicts between their four major ethnicities. These four major ethnicities include mestizos, European, African American, and indigenous. Other groups like the Wayuu people take up the other 1% of the population. If you refer to your infographics, you can see the distribution in clusters between the European, African, and indigenous ethnicities. Though there are not many ethnic conflicts, racism has and continues to be an underlying problem in Venezuela. African slavery was instituted to meet the growing demands of the labor, and since then, Africans were seen at the bottom of the ladder next to natives. Much like the United States, racism is still a problem. In recent years, many identities of the two races have been mixing, creating less tension between the races. Venezuelan society has made adaptations over their long history to keep the peace and will continue to do so.
Thank you for listening. That's all we have for you today.